How's it going, everyone? Gotta go over some more unfortunate news, as is the reality in the gaming world these days. Another studio is facing layoffs, and this one's pretty interesting. It's stemming back to a release that we talked a lot about when the game initially came out, the Kalisto Protocol studio, Striking Distance studio. They also put out another game called Redacted that actually came out somewhat recently, not to a lot of fanfare, but now the studio is facing more layoffs. Now, there are rumors and speculations that a third game is in development in Striking Distance Studios. However, I am concerned as far as what the actual outcome of that is going to be. The company has conducted a major round of layoffs, affecting, as one impacted employee describes it, most of the developers at the studio. Revealed by at least a couple dozen laid off workers on LinkedIn, the layoffs took place last week and affected players across various roles and departments, as noted at 80 level, including both newcomers and studio veterans with more than 5 years of tenure at Striking Distance Studio, which 5 years of tenure would put it around the time that the heart of Kalisto Protocol's development came out in 2022. Yeah, 5 years ago would be at the actual biggest key moments of Kalisto Protocol's development. According to one such post made by the studio's now former concept art director, Jesse Lee, the layoffs impacted most of the devs, noting, thinking back to the very beginning of Striking Distance Studios to today, nearly 6 years later, most of the devs were laid off, and it's hard to sum it all up right now. I'm extremely proud of the work we did there and the people I worked with, building up and leading talented concept art teams, providing a vision for two beautiful games through a lot of caffeinated days and nights, and with some of the most amazing and skilled artists. Incredibly disheartening that the news about the termination comes within the same month that there is a word out about their next title and that they were working on a brand new game. However, it looks like details on that is rather scarce outside of the fact that it looks to be a multiplayer third-person action game powered by Unreal Engine 5. Obviously, well wishes to everybody that was affected, and hopefully they will find their footing. But the gaming landscape as far as development goes and these projects go, obviously it's a situation that's in flux as far as the adjustment of these games and their budgets and everything like that. To talk a little bit about Kalisto Protocol, first of all, I do also want to mention, as Jesse Lee noted out, that they're extremely proud of the work they did there and work building up a leading talented concept art teams, and it's hard to sum it up. Almost 6 years of being at the studio, trying to put myself in their shoes, building up a studio, releasing a debut title, working on it for years and years, no matter what I think of a game and poor decisions attached to it. And, you know, this goes for a lot of games, not just Kalisto Protocol. I could even look at a game like Concord. Concord's a game that we clown on all the time, but the idea that these are real people, and they are developing a game for years and years and years. And similarly to Kalisto Protocol, Concord was the debut title for Firewalk. Kalisto Protocol was the debut title for Striking Distance Studio. There is so much pressure on you for years and years, and ultimately for the game to come out, it to not do as commercially well as would have hoped. Obviously, Concord was a disaster. Kalisto Protocol actually had decent sales numbers. I think it was an instance of, you know, the expectations are just crazy these days for these AAA games, and even if you sell 1 million copies, 2 million copies, we've seen Square Enix clown on, you know, talking about 3 million copies sold in the first week being disappointed. Like, these are insane numbers, and numbers that are difficult to reach, but with games having such big development costs, such big marketing costs attached to them, you need to sell that many copies for you to get funding for a future game, for it to be successful, for it to return a profit, whatever, however you want to define success. That is the reality. Now, if we want to talk about just Kalisto Protocol, I was incredibly excited about the game. We were talking about the game a lot leading up to the release of the game. A new IP, incredible atmosphere to it, the visuals were stunning, and there were a lot of things that I liked about Kalisto Protocol. And what do I always say about a horror game? If you watch this channel, you know for me, the biggest aspects of a horror game that I need to click with is the atmosphere, the tension, and the vibe of the game. And Kalisto Protocol absolutely passes the vibe check for a horror game. However, just because it passes that atmosphere, just because it has the tension, doesn't mean we can have lackluster gameplay. And I know not everybody was sour on Kalisto Protocol's gameplay. I thought Kalisto Protocol's gameplay was an atrocity. That is my opinion. If you disagree, go for it, but a lot of people shared that same sentiment. It really felt like a lot of people were either of the camp of, you know, the gameplay is terrible, or it's not that bad, people are making too big of a deal about it. However, there were enough people making a big deal about it. Also, add to the fact, it was a $70 game, it was a brand new IP, and you're talking about a game you could complete in 6 to 8 hours. I get it. I will always be first to say that games of all shapes and sizes can exist, but also there are people that are gonna push back on a game being 6 to 8 hours at $70. Think about Resident Evil 4. That was a remake of a game, and a remake of an iconic game like RE4. It definitely has more than 6 to 8 hours of content. There's a lot of replayability attached to Resident Evil as well. And Resident Evil is an absolutely iconic franchise. And the RE4 remake, you guys, was $60. Kalisto Protocol was $70. That's insane to me, and I think that hindered the game as well. But it's when all of these things are in conjunction with one another that, yeah, there's gonna be people that avoid a game like this. Also, Kalisto Protocol, funny enough, came out the same day as Need for Speed, what was it? Need for Speed Unbound and Marvel Midnight Suns. What's the funny thing is, outside of Need for Speed Unbound, because I don't know the exact commercial numbers of those games, but I don't think that game did well, you could kind of say that all three of those games tanked. They literally all came out on the same day. Kalisto Protocol obviously didn't do well. Midnight Suns obviously didn't do well. And Unbound, again, I don't think they ever, like, clowned on the game from a sales standpoint, but it didn't, like, blow anybody away. All three came out on the same day. And I remember, I think it was, like, the week after Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion came out, and I think that game did better than those three games, you know, given a budget versus sales standpoint, but you get the idea. It's just, we are in that time now where you really have to be selective with what gets greenlit, especially as far as what kind of budget are you allocating for a game like this. Maybe it's better, especially with a new IP, to start at a smaller scale, and then if that IP seems to have some traction, then grow it, then build upon it. Even a game like I've said before, Intergalactic's a brand new IP that's obviously they're sinking a lot of money into it. I don't think that game is gonna do very well. I think they've already gotten to the point where a significant portion of the potential audience for a new Naughty Dog game isn't going to be checking that game out, and I'm sure it'll still sell fairly well, but what is the expectations for a game like that obviously is going to have such a gigantic budget attached to it? I think they're fairly high, and I don't think that game is going to do well. That's just my opinion. I've been wrong before, but we'll see. I just think, you know, when you're greenlighting a game that's going to be $200 million, you really have to make a game that is going to click with as many people as possible. And I know when you're trying to satisfy everyone, you get to this point of satisfying no one, and you don't want to get into that territory as well, but there's a happy balance as well. And, you know, I don't think Kalisto Protocol really faced an issue of it not going for the right things. I just bring up to you guys a lot of factors that did deter people from bringing the game up. Like, the gameplay, I thought was an atrocity in that game. I'm gonna be real. That's my opinion. Don't bring me to the gallows. I thought the gameplay of Kalisto Protocol was an atrocity. I love the vibe, love the atmosphere, love the tension, love the visuals. Like, there were a lot of great aspects of that game. But, yeah, unfortunately a disappointment to me. But, obviously, again, well wishes to all of the developers affected. That'll do it for me. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Kalisto Protocol. I'm sure a lot of you guys at this point have played it. It was a game that was a PlayStation Plus Essential title. About like a year after, I want to say 10 months after launch. I think it was like October of 23 that it was a Plus Essential title. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.